Hello, BBs. I'm here with my good friends, Nina.
Really?
And my lovely Katie. We're having a girls' night because the guys have the children. So, yeah, we might be a little faded. Oh, wait. And then, oh, hi. There, it goes in focus. So, Katie has been asking for me to tell a ghost story for quite a while now. And Nina said she's never thinks she's had an experience. Me personally, why is this doing that? Focus on us. That's really weird.
It goes.
Right?
I need people to focus on maybe?
No, we're all right here. We haven't moved. Anyway, I've always been a super sensitive, so my friends would often send me into places before they would step foot when I was in high school just to see if I thought it was solid or not. Whoa! And make it a little darker, and it might adjust. So it might be really creepy after all. I didn't think it was going to turn off. But, so, my experiences started very, very early, but I will tell probably the most recent one. It has a lot to do with stuff I talk about all the time with manifestation and things we brought into our life. We lived in San Francisco, Oakland for a while, and when we moved to Arizona, and I had always said, I would never move to the desert, I would never live there. F all you guys, but my ass ended up there. Anyway, so I was gonna make the best of it regardless, whatever. The second we get into this house, it just doesn't seem empty, I guess. There's still some things in the house from the previous owner's parents. Her father actually, I'm pretty sure, died in the house, but they never said it 100%, but I'm pretty sure that he died in the house. So some of the big furniture, there was a piece or two were still in the house that was his, and there was a camper in the backyard full of his things that nobody seemed to want to take care of or do anything with. But, so I instantly felt that presence as soon as we were in that house. Every single mirror, I could see something out of the corner of my eye. I would always see someone, like if I wasn't looking directly, standing by the kitchen stove, which there was a door there. I think he really liked to hang out there. That was probably like his place. You could definitely tell when we moved in that that's where he liked to hang out the most, because it was the spot in the house that was most heavily smoked in, and we don't smoke in our house like that, so you could definitely tell that that's where his station was. So I could always kind of see him out of the corner of my eye, and I was just very aware that he was there. And our roommate was very aware, and John was just kind of whatever, because he doesn't really see stuff quite like I do. So we were aware of this man in the house. I knew that he was there. You could definitely feel the presence, but it wasn't bad. He was there. There was a cabinet that used to hold old kitchen plates and silverware that was his, that was still in the dining room, and it was heavy oak, and the doors you had to pry open, and were super heavy. If you got them open, you had to slam them to make this noise. But we would be in the living room and we would hear those specific doors slam, like he was getting something out and closing them. You know certain sounds, you know what I mean, and it's undeniable.
Doors and stuff.
Yeah,
Sounds,
certain doors, things like that. You just know, and you're like, oh, okay, so.
And nobody would be in there.
Right, and then there's just nobody. So it started out like that, and then our friend Ray would occasionally come over, and he's also very sensitive, and we're all chatting. I think it was like an art night. We're sitting on the floor, and he's like, and he looked all nervous, like, because when you're sensitive, sharing this kind of information, especially with people who've never seen it or dealt, you don't know how they're going to receive the information, or if they're going to believe you or whatever. And I was like, what's happening? And he's like, well, I mean, he knows me, so he was like, there was just an old dude standing beside me, like just chilling, just like hanging out, just seeing what we were doing, like beside me. I was like, yeah, that's like the old dude. He's here for sure. Like, we hear him in the kitchen and in the dining room area. And you could definitely tell, like, a dude's room was just a little weird. I never really liked dude's room. We just didn't spend much time in there. But deep in my heart, I was starting to be very depressed, very unhappy. And at certain points in my life, energies do attach and can make things very much, so much worse. So, I was vulnerable, and I had a miscarriage, and my walls were down, and I was a mess. And in the midst of dealing with that, this negative black energy came into our home, and it was different. It wasn't there for everybody else to see. They didn't really see it or feel it. It was totally just me. And it was to the point where, you know it's bad energy. You know that this, probably not spirit, but something else is there. When you have like reoccurring roach problems, but you're super clean. And I mean, like, coming out of the walls, they're like this big, just like, and we would have it sprayed every month to make sure that there was nothing like that happening, and these bitches would show up like huge, just like weird. In dude's room, he always got little bites, but we couldn't figure out where the hell it was coming from. It wasn't hives. I salted his room, like, we cleaned it all the time, like, we couldn't ever find anything. There was no bed bugs, there was no fleas, no nothing like that, but we couldn't figure out where he kept getting bitten. And that occurred for quite a while. And also, like, an influx of black widow spiders, and I mean, like, we could not eradicate them. We had our carport and house sprayed every single month to try to get rid of these black widows, because they were big and they were taking over our entire living space. Like, everything there was trying to keep me in this house that I was absolutely miserable in. Because in Arizona, you pretty much can't leave your house because it's so effing hot all the time. You want to die when you leave the house. And if you have any kind of, like, heat sensitivity like I do, like, I just wanted to die every time I went outside, so I avoided it. And I was trapped in this house, and this energy knew it. So it started to feed on me because I was having emotional shit going on, and there was already that presence in the house, so it's a lot easier for something to slip in. It got to a point where, like, John would never see it, and dude was very little, so, one night it was like 3 o'clock, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like stiff as a board, like, what's going on? John's out cold, and I hear this hiss, like this really loud hiss, and coming from like down the hall. And then I heard something like a toy, like a plastic toy, slid all the way down the hallway by itself. The animals were in our room, like, we only had one cat at the time, and so it wasn't like animals or anything like that. And then I heard this one specific cup that dude had. He still has it. It's a measuring cup. It's red. and it's a hard plastic, and it just makes a certain sound on hard tile, and I could hear it like somebody was doing this, like fucking with me, like rattling it, and I could tell where it was. When I went out the next morning, that's where it was sitting, but there was no reason for that to happen, and it was always between like 3 and 4 that these noises and the shit would start moving. And then like the last straw was, dude was in his crib, and I came in, and all of a sudden this big foam box that he had that you could put like shaped toys into was in his crib. And I'm very anal about certain things because I'm overprotective as hell with him. It was on the other side of the room, and it ended up in his crib, and that's when I was like, F no, I can't take this anymore. Like, I need to take over ownership of my house. And that's really, really when I embraced and realized I'm a witch. I'm a natural witch. I have to take care of this shit. It does happen to me. And I, some things you can recognize and you can be okay with. Like the old man, like, he built the house. He died there. I get why he was there. He still had belongings there. But that other presence, I feel, floats around Arizona and just waits. It waits like a big black cloud to suck people in. I don't believe in my heart that people should live in Arizona, and I know a lot of people really love it. But the state is literally cracking in half, and we don't know why. And then there's Superstition Mountains, and it's the fucking desert. There's no trees. Like, you should not be able to live there. Let's be real and keep within YouTube standards. There's product that goes through that state, and that's the only reason that state exists, and we'll just leave it at that. Like, I'm pretty damn sure that's the only reason it's there. But once that happened, I had to take over my house. I opened every door, every nook, every cranny, every box. I opened anything that could be closed, made everyone leave the house, and cleansed the fuck out of my house. And I demanded that this is my home. I only see white light. There is no room for negativity. It was a little more detailed than that, but I had to reclaim my house. And I could feel myself fighting it, like trembling as I'm screaming this through my house and like burning sage. And it fought me. It fought me really hard. And I feel like it cleared out, but I don't feel like it's ever going to leave that area. Like, it's there. Like, I really just was able to misplace it from my life long enough to be able to get out. But that is definitely one of the most intense. Yeah, and that's just missing a lot of stuff too, because I know that there's a lot of other shit that was just like weird, and you wouldn't like, my mirror, like, I got mad and it flew off the wall and it broke my selenite wand. It was just weird. Like, there was something really fighting who I was and really trying to get at me in the worst way and get me down. But I'm not that person. Like, I'm gonna push through. That was my home and my family, and no one else was gonna, ever.
Did it leave when you did the cleansing?
It did leave. I was able to back it off enough so that we were able to get our shit together and, and really get out of there. But our friend, Ray, he rented the place directly after we did, and he has a lot of stories about that house also, and a lot of shit that just crazy, bad, weird stuff around that house, and just the energies. I don't know, like, it's a magnet for something really yucky, and he was able to pick it up and has full on stories about it also. So I definitely wasn't the only one that experienced it in the house, but I was the one who saw it the most, for sure. It was pretty crazy. But that's my story for tonight, and why I hate Arizona. I love all you people that I'm friends with, but don't fucking ask me to come back anymore. I love you.